Hello everyone, my name is Francois Lasne and I will present you today the 7 common mistakes when putting in place an API program. I am part of Murex, the financial software company, and also part of the collective API thinking. So let's start. We used to hear, I never fail, I learn. Fair enough. What is important in this sentence is not about the capacity to fail, but really the capacity to learn. Because if you fail and fail, there is no point. So let's have a lot of learning today. And Confucius says, wise man learns from his mistakes, wiser man learns from the mistake of the others. So let's try to learn today. So on my list, the top one would be about underestimating the coordination effect. Launching an API is launching a product, and that's very rare in a company to launch a product. And so an API program is about connecting people, and it's about connecting a lot of people as you are launching a new product. So it can be about connecting the top management to the product management, about marketing, sales, business architect, product owner, technical architect, development, documentation team, security team, but as well DevOps, because you will publish your APIs, and also some people that are not so often part of a product, like the billing, finance, legal, compliance, and all those people needs to be connected, and that can be a huge effort. So let's dig a bit into the detail. Common mistake: think that everyone is aligned and understand the strategy. As you have seen, there is a lot of cloud also, and those people might also act a bit in a silos world. So what you need to put in place is to put kind of APIs between those cloud, between product management, between tech and dev, and so on. So also, if people are not aligned, sometimes it's because they have not understood the strategy. What is the goal? What will be the new product? And if you have some disalignment in the strategy, if people does not get what's going on, you might go to some frustration, like it's not progressing and people don't understand really, because in fact they don't really understand because they don't have the big picture. That it's not about only sales topic, it's about or a business topic, it's about tech, it's about strategy, there is sometimes topic about compliance, and all those people need to understand that they are part of the process. And the risk of not having this big picture in mind is to have a a disorganized execution that can lead to delay, and delay leads to frustration. And this is about a salesperson selling an API that is not yet developed. This is about an architect publishing an API in the catalog without having asked for the license or for the pricing, and so on. The delay could lead as well to a bad perception, and internally this is about motivation. People does not understand, it's not progressing, and it's about an external perception of that. It would be delay, and delay for your customer. This is not that's what you want. Solution about this: have a clear and documented process, and also have templates about saying what people need to have an input, what people need to do of output, and building canvas for a use case canvas, building canvas for an architecture canvas, that the architecture will give this output to the security team for analysis, that the business will put a canvas that he will send to the billing team, for instance, or to the legal team, so that everyone understand what what they will receive as input, what they need to deliver as output, and to transmit to the other teams. Once you have all those canvas between business, product, architecture, development, test, security, production, you will be able to put in place a dedicated board with everyone on it, every task on it, and people will be able to understand that it's a long chain, that a lot of people are involved, and have a bigger view of the picture. Also, having this board will allow you to communicate and to break the silos, because you will be able to create meetings and analyze the situation and the delivery of your product. To go beyond, you can put in place some guild or community of experts cross-domain. Also, something that works well is to put in place a newsletter, multi-domain, taking tech as well as business, and also news from the market, what your competitors are doing, so that it's create a kind of emulation in the company about building this API product. Second mistakes, forget the customer. Usually, customer needs are very simple, as this Swiss knife. And some successful companies, have really understood very well this. And this is like when you look at Apple or Google design, very simple. And stakeholder ideas are usually much more complex and not really fit with the customer. And you can see this kind of app that you might have in your company. And that's somewhere we have forgot the customer. So the key idea here is to keep it simple, to keep it focused, and to really understand that the success of an API is not about its complexity, but about its adoption. Whatever it is, it needs to be simple so that it will be adopted and so will be a success. The risk about forgetting the customer and the mistakes are to focus on the product only, focus on myself. I know the product very well, so I will push some feature and so on, as you have seen in the previous picture. And maybe a bit disconnected from what the customer is looking for. Another common mistake is to say that business is disinterested from the API world, and it's a tech-only things. And this, as tech people used to be techie, and so build complex things, engineering things. That's not a good idea. Also, another common mistake is to say that we have internal API, so let's call them open. This is our own cooking, and let's push our APIs to the public. Another aspect is that I like this topic about product-oriented and consumer-oriented is just to have a look of PSD2 APIs, so banking APIs versus Stripe APIs. Stripe is just an API for payment, simple, everyone can understand. Boom. The risk of having of forgetting the customer is to have some APIs that are difficult to use, and so it will lead some delay, some support effort. Pushing APIs, internal APIs to the public leads to a leak of technical debt. This would slow down the evolutivity and the flexibility of your product. What I used to say is that keep the dinosaur inside the box, not in your APIs. And also, for sure, doing like that would disconnect your product and your client, and that's not what you want to have. Solution. First of all, take the opportunity when you build APIs to modernize. Build them as nice as possible. It's really an opportunity. Follow the basic principle, keep it simple, stupid. Try to do some partnership with some sponsor and do some prototyping. Try even to do co-creation with them and validate the APIs. Follow as well an API first strategy and do code generation, meaning that as soon as you are doing complex APIs, if you do code generation, usually you would simplify your APIs because it will be difficult to use or to code. Other aspect, just perform market survey, just to not forget the customer. Usually your competitors are also here. Publish your API as soon as possible, even pushing an early mock, meaning that if you don't have the real product yet, you push it and you push a mock that will simulate more or less the behavior and ask your client to test. And also, about forgetting the customer, to not forget, try to act as a client and to build on top of your APIs, also to showcase the potential of your APIs. This will help you to design nicely your APIs. Third pain points, mistakes, believing that money will come fast. If you look at pure player like Twilio, and Twilio is just about sending SMS and an email, roughly, it's valuated $12 billion. Plaid, it's an open banking aggregator, $13 billion. Stripe, payment, $15 billion. And if you look at others company, let's say brick and mortar company like Renault or Carrefour, it's $12 billion. So you can see that pure players are valuated at a very high valuation. Okay, good. If we look about open banking is about more or less do a payment without credit card fees, more or less. PSD2 has been launched in 2018. And we can read in the press that there is a 600% growth. So it moved from 2 million calls to 12 million calls per month. There is a lot of attraction of fintechs around this. But if you look at the reality of the numbers, during the same period, there was 300 million credit card transactions and 2 billion debit card transactions in the same period. So what it shows, it's even its payment without credit card is a great idea with a lot of benefits. It will take time that the ecosystem is built. If you look at the project, you have an idea. Then someone needs to code it, to produce it. So there is a delay here. And then you will package and push your APIs on the market. Fair enough. But that's the beginning of the story. Then someone else has to get an idea on top of your APIs. This someone else has to code also against your APIs. And this someone else needs to deliver. So what does it show is that the success of your API comes only with the success of your partners. So that's all about it. Your success is about your partner success. And so there is some delay between your job and the job of your partners. So let's have a look. Money will come fast. So believing that we are Stripe and Twilio, okay, fair enough. You might not be. Underestimating the learning curve, internally and externally. As we have seen, it would take time to align everyone in the company. It would take time that everyone understand what you are building. And it's also about having a lot of actors. So it will take time. In the other hand, once your API is published, it's only the beginning. Someone needs to code and someone needs to learn what you have done, need to understand as well, need to build as well, and need to be successful. Another topic is also about, is it really the same business? Maybe you are not so used about this API world. Maybe you are producing insurance solution, but building an insurance solution is not the same deal as building an API solution for insurance. This brings some other requirements. And as well, this might go to others networking. Your salesperson is not about selling an insurance to someone. It's about selling a service to a fintech that might distribute your API. And that's not at all the same network of person. So the risk, you have an underestimation of the leads generation and about the integration time, overestimating the revenues, and a disconnect about your sales network, as mentioned. Solution, prepare a clear business model, because there is several business model per API call, per package, fees on top of some revenues. So think about it. Try to have a clear business model, find an early adopter and validate this business model and as well this concept, so that he can code before, he can understand before your product is released. Define a clear who, do what, and when. That's really important, because a success of an API program is about an integration, and sometimes people believe that it is the others that will do the integration or adapt. So really put clear landmark who, do what, when. And be humble and pragmatic. Start simple and then extend. Still following the same principle, keep it simple. Going beyond, as you are attacking a new segment, maybe you might need a dedicated team. Always do market and customer survey, just to get what they are doing, what are their billing policies. And also another aspect of this is that maybe you are just doing an API just to not be discarded. In a lot of RFP now, you can see that API are mandatory. Okay. Mistake number 4, underestimate the documentation effort. I used to say that API is the WYSIWYG 2.0. What you see is what you get. And the motto is no doc, no app, no application, and no application, no business. So, a mistake. Believe that the clients know and understand your product. It's new for the client. They might have gone to your developer portal and discover that who you are. So no, they are not familiar too much with your product. In terms of documentation, publish a PDF file. It's not so fun. Or publish just a specification, basic, with no documentation, with no description, with no, just very basic description, very basic specification. Also, you can have in large company the fact that teams are too autonomous, and we'll see what is the issue here. As soon as you have no doc, the APIs would be difficult to understand and difficult to adapt. And you would have a high-level support, meaning that we often say the more doc you have, the less phone call you have. The topic about autonomous team and silos is about a lack of homogeneity and interoperability, meaning that identifier won't be the same from one team to another. We will not be able to call an APIs and then take the result and inject it into the others. So that might lead to some issue here. Solution. Implies the business, implies people that are not technical in the description, in the redaction of the APIs. Document not only the API interaction, but as well the workflows, so that people understand that you need to call one endpoint and then you will get this reply and then you can call this one and so on. So really define some workflows, some use cases, and document them so that people really understand what the API is for and how to use it. put in place API guidelines and CI/CD to enforce them so that you have a single face for your company and not isolated team. If possible, leverage on standard and build a schema library and use it, meaning that you will create some reusable components and business objects that team will share and use in their APIs. Going beyond, review the APIs by external people. It can be your sales team. It can be even your HR department, or because it would be someone that will just discover the product with a fresh eye. And having this feedback is always a good information. Provide sample application so that people get how to get it. And some companies are using a no API model, meaning providing a widget that really fully integrate the API inside a widget. And if you look at Stripe, you can call the API of Stripe, but you can even embed a widget inside your website, and you don't take care at all about APIs. So this is something that you can also look at, but still, even this widget need to be documented. Point number 5, underestimating the DevOps effect and the DevOps dimension. So you have an idea, fair enough. You get nice developers, they develop it. But that's only the beginning of your story. As you can see in this life cycle, there is a lot of things to do. There is about deployment. It might be a multi-environment between UAT, dev, prod, and so on. You would have some networking topic about cloud, about multi-region, maybe about multi-cloud, depending on your situation. You will have to push it to an API gateway. You would get some topic about scalability, security, audit, versioning, deployment model, monitoring, alerting, support, operation, and so on. So that's a big topic, really. And development is only part of this topic. So the DevOps dimension is big. As part of it, some common mistakes. An API management is yet a new tool, but still they will master. No, an API management is a complex tool with some concepts to take care, with some policies to write, and with sometimes a different language, and so on. So this is really something that you need to master. Thinking that we just need to expose an API without a lack of strategy in terms of pushing these APIs and think that it will work basically. Moving to also a model of I will fix it and an ad hoc model. I will go to the API management and change few things. I will go to the Kubernetes cluster and change the routing topic, etc. And forget about non-functional requirements like audit, monitoring, and so on. The risk, as same as you have a spaghetti code, there is a spaghetti operation about multi-staging, about losing the traceability, about what is deployed where, and what is running where. In terms of versioning and so on. And this would lead to an overconsumption of the team and the DevOps thing being a critical one. Solution, build a deployment policy, respect them, enforce them so that it's not possible to do some modification manually, for instance, but putting this all in, for instance, DevOps as code policy, so all in Git, so that it is fully auditable and so on. Automate and automate and automate again, so that again you have a policy, the policy is enforced, you cannot go out of the process. Create DevOps as a project really, because you have plenty of things and not some, you have plenty of topic to handle, and this needs to be managed correctly as project management. Size your team in front of that and define your priorities. Define your monitoring and alerting solution as well. Going beyond, some teams, when you have a good level of maturity, follow the principle you built it, you own it. This used to bring some good code quality because people know that they will put it in production and they will support it. So it's not a fire and forget. It's a fire and support. Put in place a 24/7 model, support model. And because of that, you might need to discuss with your HR because your development team may not be able, may not used to this kind of way of working. So you putting in place compensation and so on. Error number 6, believe that your API works as expected. So given a server, given an API management and a Swagger spec with input circle and as output a triangle, you will have a client that will send a circle and the servers, so the backend, will return a square. And so this is not aligned at all with your API specification. And so you would have a unhappy client. So the mistakes are done only by the dev team, or because they are building the solution, they might test only API flow or not the full picture. Test only the API flow again, and tests are done only during the deployment of the APIs. In the APIs topic, you have usually, especially with API gateway, you have a topic of I deploy the API specification and I deploy the server. And sometimes it's a bit disconnected. So you need to really take care of these deployments timing. The issue about this timing would be a shift and drift between the API and the implementation. So I push an API specification, but the server is not the one that is respecting the API, or someone pushing some bug fixes and so on, and just deploy the API, the backend, and that makes some issue. Sample not working and an happy customer because they would discover the bug before you. Solution, put in place contract and payload validation for your implementation. Create sandbox, test the sandbox, test the scenario, test your sample, test at each API deployment, test at each backend deployment. Put in place, because sometimes even if nothing change, tests might break because of data, for instance. So put in place continuous testing with two kinds of testing, smoke testing often, and deep testing with a larger coverage of test, and put in place alert as soon as you detect a shift, a gap in your testing strategy. Going beyond, inject errors so that you inject some calls that you expect to have an error, just to validate that the error management is correctly done. Do some monkey testing. So here is about sending a dummy payload, dummy-like payload, and see how the system is reacting. Put in place a synthetic dashboard, and when you are confident, put in place publish your SLA in a status board. Last mistakes about underestimating the security. So according to Soul Security, The attackers has grown by 400%. If you look at Gartner paper in 2017, they predict that the APIs would be a vector of attack. And in fact, what they mentioned is that their prediction was wrong. They have underestimating the rise of it. Taking the banking industry, you have around 94% of financial industries that has experienced an API attack in the past year. And for the 6% remaining, I would say either the hacker does not know the company, or the CTO does not know that it has been attacked. So, underestimating the securities, the mistake, stay on a custom and legacy security stack. Security is about leveraging standards that are rock solid. Implement security only at the API gateway level. Take care about the intruders, people inside your network. And just about certification like PCI or ISO 666, don't be confident. Just test what you are saying, what you are doing. If you put in place a disaster recovery, not create a procedure, but test it and play it. The risk about security is big risk, operational risk, financial risk, reputation risk, compliance risk. This is about putting your business down, and even worse, if you have data leak. Solution, put in leverage on OIDC with a strong IDP. Do threat modeling, clear identification of the security context, who is doing what. Do some data flow and data flow analysis about the identity that is transferred. Do threat modeling. Put in place tooling like bill of material analysis, like static code analysis, pen testing. Put in place a monitoring solution, an alerting solution, and given that you have an alert, have a plan of reaction. Going beyond, something that works well is to put in place a systematic OWASP top 10 analysis on each your endpoint, so that you ask yourself if you are following the good practice. Do external pen testing. You can also hire white hat. Put in place bug bounty. You can put an internal bug bounty program, and as well, when you are confident, an external bug bounty program. And there is also, again, some tooling, specialized tooling based on AI around security that you can leverage as well. So, as a summary, here are the 7 common mistakes, my top 7 common mistakes when putting in place an API program. So, number 1, underestimating the coordination effort, forget the customer, money will come fast, underestimating the documentation, underestimating the DevOps, believing that the API works, and underestimating the security. There is one solution. It's about governance and people. So you are welcome. And final words is about it's about connecting machine, but as well people. So important is not the mistake. Really important is about the solution. Also important is about sharing. Don't hesitate to share, to contribute to GitHub project, to forum like the Apidays or like the API thinking. And so, unlike the proverbs, together we also go faster. Thanks for your attention.